connection look and feel like? Since the beginning of recorded civilization, the answer was likely more or less the same. Connection felt like the warmth of an embrace, the understanding developed through meaningful conversation, the compassion felt when seeing a loved one suffering. You get the picture. And then, just over 10 years ago, the point at which 50% of America now owned a smartphone, the way in which we were connecting started to mutate. This device, coupled with a shifting paradigm for socialization, meant that now 20-second videos online were connection. Swiping through images of our friends was now connection. White text in blue bubbles was now connection. I worry that social media is isolating us as it numbs us to that feeling of true connection. And for my generation, whose native operating system has only ever seen a world with social media, these risks feel all the more concerning. I first really started to see the power of social media during that first year of the pandemic. We were quarantining and I was really struggling. It felt so unnatural to be isolated from the people I love, and I felt really lonely and disconnected. Many months into the pandemic, I then found this thing called social media. And all of a sudden I was surrounded by likes and texts and stories and posts and LOLs and TTYLs and LMAOs. I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to say that last one, sorry TEDx. In all of social media's glory. And so, for the first time in my life, I began checking Snapchat and Instagram and TikTok for many hours a day, believing they would fill that void in my heart. An entire year passed, and not once did I doubt that social media had kept me connected to those I cared about. Let's fast forward 10 months, and I can still picture the first day I saw friends in person again. And wow, how incredible that was. Despite sitting 6 feet apart with our KN95 masks on, we talked for hours and hours on end. I remember feeling deeply joyous, seeing the smiles in their eyes, hearing the laughs, and feeling really full. And then, my friends and I fell right back into the social media vortex. Intentionally or not, we traded the smiles and the laughs and the real meaningful conversations to share memes and one-sentence responses online. We could have been biking together, or getting boba, or playing basketball, but instead we chose the shallow, passive online interactions. Was it the ease, or the comfort, or social media's algorithms designed to hook our attention? The truth is, social media betrayed me. It betrayed us. Here's this tool that's made for connection, leaving us all feeling less connected. Unfortunately, I wasn't the only one impacted by social media during that first year of the pandemic. The Atlantic reported that between 2000 and 2015, the number of teens seeing friends daily dropped by over 40%. This is all while the average teen still spends around 3 hours on social media every day. The issue is that our online interactions aren't as meaningful as our offline ones. Research has found that deeper conversations scientifically bring us more well-being than short-form communication, and other research has shown that even the mere presence of a mobile phone can disrupt the connectedness of two people, leading to reduced feelings of empathy, trust, and a sense of closeness. I know, what a paradox. Somehow this tool, designed for connection, is strongly correlated with increased disconnection. I try to bridge this irony with the distinction researchers make between eudaimonic and hedonic connection. Eudaimonic well-being is that deep satisfaction we get from meaningful life experiences. Think about that conversation with a grandparent, or mindfully walking through nature, or learning about a new culture while traveling. Hedonic, on the other hand, refers to those typically shallow and fleeting activities, often those that bring short-term pleasure, but not long-term satisfaction. Think candy or video games or getting a like on your social media post. You guessed it, social media connection is typically hedonic. The tool is useful to meet new people, see what your friends are up to, kickstart conversations. Don't get me wrong, all of which are enjoyable and required in day-to-day life. But many of these interactions, especially in isolation, are not helping us build the crucial, deep relationships. In other words, social media really promotes our feeling connected. I'd like to share a story with you all. Throughout the pandemic, I would text a close friend of mine, let's call him Adrian, almost every day. We would text back and forth about our days, send snaps, share TikToks, and talk about plans to eventually meet up. 6 months later, we finally did meet up, and for the first time, I learned about the traumatic life events Adrian had been experiencing. Behind that shallow filter of social media, Adrian had been facing anxiety, depression, and ultimately self-harm. Despite connecting with Adrian every single day over social media, I hadn't actually connected with Adrian until that day. For those 6 months, I acknowledge that social media helped me stay in Adrian's life. But only when we were together in person could I read his body language, see the pain in his eyes, and create a space where he could share his trauma. Only by being together in person could I really support him as a true friend. Unfortunately, I'm sad to say that the correlation between social media and the decline in our connectedness is no coincidence. Researchers have found that social media companies actually promote our isolation and prey on our disconnection down to an algorithmic level. Take a moment to reflect yourself. Does the infinite scroll keep you engaged for as much time as possible? Do notifications continuously draw you back into that app? Do likes and comments tie your inner sense of acceptance to a number online? Because of social media's ad-based revenue model, they make more money the more time we spend online. I know we love using these helpful tools, but what about when these tools begin to use us? I'm sad to say that the impact of social media extends beyond this personal, interpersonal, to the societal. Think how disinformation causes mass distrust, especially when disinformation is retweeted 6 times faster than real information. Or think how exaggerated content causes widespread political polarization. Like, did you know that Americans who spend more time listening to the news online are more likely to misjudge people that are different from them? So here we are. Social media is currently in its ethical Wild West phase. But without change, how can we as a society survive, much less thrive? Since the beginning of recorded civilization, the depth of our connectedness is what made us human. Today we are fighting an invisible war for that humanity. And if we lose, we may spend the rest of our lives connecting without ever feeling connected. I also believe that there's a more hopeful, humane path forward. Imagine a social media where positive stories are sorted higher than extreme content, or one that spreads real information faster than disinformation, or one that profits off of contentment rather than watch time. This alternate reality, however, requires us to stop being spectators to a game that decides our future. Whether we advocate for internal platform changes, to business model regulations, to major culture and paradigm shifts, we can together build a healthier, more connected future. Thank you.